Josh,
Yeah, man.
do you normally warm up before you hit the stage?
You know, it's so funny that you opened with this, as we never, by design, we never compare notes on this cold open. And if I had to do one, because 30 seconds before the show, we're like, who's doing the cold open? Who's got one? Who's got one? If I had to do one, it was going to be this exact thing about warming up. Talk to me about it. You have to warm up, right?
I think let's talk about the term cold open and warming up right here, right now. PodMax Podcast.
Welcome to the PodMax Podcast.
Welcome back to the PodMax Podcast. What episode is this? I'm losing track, Rob. What is it? Episode blah blah. I don't know. We're up in double digits at the very least.
Yeah, that's good. That's a good sign. I love that you posed the question, do you warm up before you get on the stage? Certainly, you know, you're speaking to my right to my heart, my past, my history, right? On the literal stage. But we've had this conversation before that you also mean this. This is every bit of stage, right?
Absolutely. You know, it's something that I don't do often enough. I definitely do it more here for this show because we're in the studio, the lights are on, the cameras are on, so it feels very pro, and you know, just the stage is set for us. But when I'm home, I'm not doing it. Maybe if I'm doing an event or I'm with you and we've got a group, call,
right,
coaching call or something, where I'll do jumping jacks and stuff like that. But I mean, there are tool sets, there are things, there are ways we can get warmed up and transition from a cold open to warm.
Yeah, and there's a few ways we're talking about warming up. When you mentioned jumping jacks, obviously you're talking physically, right? But then there's verbally, right? You got to verbally warm up, and then mentally and perhaps spiritually and emotionally warm up. So there's all kinds of ways you have to warm up. I remember back in my theater days, but seriously, doing stage and musical theater, which is all kinds of acting, singing, dancing, and moving. There's all kinds of warm up. Warm up is necessary. You have to warm up your body, do scales, warm up your voice. And this is really no different.
Me.
Call it what you will. Now we got to pay royalties on that scale.
Do we?
No.
Nobody tell on us.
It's not a song.
Is it not?
It's not.
It's a warm up.
It is a warm up, and nobody owns that.
But yeah, so think of and consider doing warm-up exercises, get your brain moving, get your vocal cords warm and ready. You know, it's something that we need to practice and continue practicing every day, but it only makes us better. So let's move along to our first segment, Pro in the Know.
Pro in the Know.
It just seems like, as we're doing our research for these segments, this segment every week, for what it's worth, there are a handful of headlines that just continue to dominate the industry, and the headlines seeping into pop culture, because these headlines, right, are not industry exclusive. They're on all major publications. They're on TechCrunch. They're on the just big publications. So what are we talking about today?
So this is a nice little follow-up to last episode, and I got to get better at referencing these episode numbers. These
17 right now.
17.
Episode 17.
So it's episode 16. Go back and listen to that. Thank you. Because we talk about how Apple is launching a paid service through their podcasting service. And now we find that Spotify just announced they are launching a paid podcast platform as well, but through their vehicle, their app, their platform called Anchor, right? So those of us who are OGs may hate Anchor, but those of the newer podcasters generally are in the middle or love Anchor. I fall in that camp. So Spotify, I'm going to read the article here for you folks so that you get a little bit more detail than I can provide. So Spotify launches a paid podcast through the new Anchor feature. Podcasters on this platform offer subscriptions to their shows. And the company also announced its paid podcast subscription product for the US only for now, which will initially allow select partners who host their shows on Anchor to charge for their content. So how cool is that?
You could actually pick and choose per episode through
Yes.
Anchor, right? Because Spotify bought Anchor last year.
Mhm.
So through Anchor, if you're hosting there, you could click a button and choose to charge for certain content. So you could make some episodes exclusive. You could create exclusive content that is exclusive. And the what's their payment fee for the show hosts?
Yeah, so there's all sorts of different fees and different structures that they announced. But so there is a wait list, and we'll get into the show structure. So some shows that are huge already, they mentioned Tiny Leaps, Big Changes, Mindful in Minutes. They have subscriber only content, and NPR will launch an ad-free version of their show. So Spotify, they said they're not going to do this for shows they own, like Rogan, right? So that's already all done. It's all free. But there's certain content creators that will want to participate in this. So their fee structure here is, but let me forward through in my head here as I read. Spotify will be taking a 5% cut of total subscription revenue, but that won't start until 2023. And that is significantly less than Apple, who is charging upwards of 15 to 30% of revenue. So Spotify, just to highlight again, 5%, whereas Apple's 15 to 30. So podcasters will have 3 monthly pricing options to choose from.
Now, this is the cost to podcasts hosts, or was that what you're going to announce? Is that the cost?
This to me, and I could be wrong here, but I think this is the subscription model as creators,
what we're charged,
what we charge. So podcasters charge to our audience, our listeners, our followers.
That makes sense.
$3 a month, $5 a month,
right,
or $8 a month.
And I wonder what the difference is. But what's exciting about this is we've had tons of conversations on and off the air here of how in the world do you monetize your show, right? Now, we're of the belief that we're not looking for the ad model method where we're selling ads through this. By the way, Swiffer is an incredible way to clean all floors, hard wood and linoleum, just for the record. I'm just saying. But we really use episodes to market ourselves, to position ourselves, to gain a following, to gain awareness, that sort of a thing. So if you're not running ads in your show, Swiffer Wet Jet out now, a bargain at any price, really. You can really look towards the subscription model, which seems to be a future option where people are going to have to start considering, which is really great because it incentivizes us, the show hosts, the content creators, to really get creative with what content you're creating. How can you make content that is subscription worthy, right? Yeah. So we might want to do certain episodes that were like, why don't we put this behind a Spotify paywall in a sense?
Yeah, it's always great to have more tools in the tool belt to play around with, to sort of tinker around to see what may or may not work. Now, Josh brought up something good. This is really, really something. If you're a content creator, you're a podcast producer, you have your own show, you have to pay attention to and listen to shows that you love and appreciate. Okay, so there's a certain level and quality of shows that warrant having a paid subscription model. There's a higher production quality. There's a lot more back end, you could tell, editing, and also, sort of vetting their shows and their guests and the way they extract the information from their guests. So the majority of people that I know, including ourselves, we have interview format shows. You can make that relatively easy for yourself by just recording the call. Now that we do them on Zoom or Squadcast, whatever you use, and then just upload the raw audio with very little editing. But then there's some of us, and we may fall into this camp where there's more involved. We chop it up, we clean up the audio. Rob does a wonderful job in their shows. And then we have some ad spots that are our own. We have intros, pre-rolls, mid-rolls, post. So there's a level of production quality that's there, but then there's the next level of iHeart, Entrepreneur, these shows where you could tell they put money, a lot of money. So as a creator, I just want to highlight, do not feel guilty that you want to charge and you feel like charging for your podcast, because you invest your time, you invest your money into your show, whether it's hiring someone to edit and produce or hiring a designer to create micro content to promote the show. There's a level of investment that you deserve to get back. So I think this is wonderful. I think Spotify, like I said to you earlier, Josh, this is a chessboard, and I love watching them make moves. Spotify is like, hey, checkmate, Apple. And Apple's like, oh, well, I'm going to make this move. But to me, what I'm seeing, Spotify's winning. Never know what's going to happen, but they make great moves. You sort of see the strategy as it plays out. When they bought Anchor, we didn't know exactly what they were going to do. Now, boom, here it is. They show their hand, and this is how they're going to use Anchor. I mean, how brilliant.
Yeah. And what an interesting move to buy Anchor, because we in the industry, there's always a heated debate, a great divide between Anchor yes, Anchor no, Anchor good, Anchor bad. And like you said, Erik, there people from each camp. Now, in all honesty, when I first came into your world a year plus ago, I was of the belief that Anchor is not where you want to be as a show host if you want to be taken seriously for a variety of reasons. And when I came into your world, On Air Brands was already established. You already had clients that you were producing shows for, and you had them all on Anchor. And we've had many conversations where I'm like, maybe we should take them off Anchor. It's not the end of the world. Why don't we? And I got to say, your reasoning really, like, there was some premonition there. Especially when Spotify bought Anchor. First of all, you never felt a reason to leave. You're like, oh, I'm all in. I'm just staying here. And then Spotify bought, and you're like, why leave now? Spotify bought Anchor. Let's see what they do with it. Yeah. And here we are.
Yeah.
There's something to be said.
I know. And trusting in the moves, and the strategic moves, and watching it play out. They clearly have a powerful strategy, and we're all a part of it, which is awesome.
One more thing before we move on. Isn't there something interesting between the fact that Spotify is operating system agnostic, right? You can have an Android, you can have an Apple, get the Spotify app. It works perfectly. Yeah. Yet Apple, I've said it, right? I have a Google Pixel phone. Yeah. There's no sense of Apple here. So where's that going to lead?
Yeah. Yeah. And they're starting to take away some features that Apple just can't, like the in-app purchases. A lot of people have some sort of gripe about that. Well, Spotify's like, we're not doing it. Like, we're pulling away. And from my understanding, if you have an app on Apple, they have so much control. They have so much control over you monetizing. They take a huge cut. I'm not bagging on Apple. I love Apple, but I get it from a creator standpoint. At what point? Yes, I used the platform, iTunes, Apple Podcasts, whatever it is, to get visibility and launch. But once you start to expand and grow and build your own sort of following, who's to say Apple still needs? I don't know. Yeah. I don't know anything about that business model, but I know there's a lot of people that are upset about it.
So much to talk about. I'm glad we at least dove in and outlined what's going on this week in that segment. Yeah. Let's move on to segment number 2.
Build it, and they will come.
So at the time of this recording, we're here live, and it is Wednesday, as it is every Wednesday at 11 a.m. Eastern. Here we are. These days, at least this day of the week, we show up in our Trenton, New Jersey studio and do some work, have meetings, record the show, and generally enjoy all parts of life. This morning, about 8:45 in the morning, I'm here minding my own business. Erik walks in and he is just energized. And he, from the door, the bag still on, the coffee in hand, the oats that were soaking from the night before in his glass Pyrex red cover jar. No joke. And tell me what was on your mind, pun intended, this morning.
I asked you if you saw a post that I put up. And I could tell, that you hadn't seen it. So I was like, I'm going to share with you. I'm going to do exactly. I'm going to do it live for you.
That's great.
What I did live on Facebook that you had missed over the weekend. I was getting ready over the weekend to go out, and for some strange reason, I was looking for, around the summertime, I like to put some accessories on, whether it be some sort of summer type of bracelets or whatever. Usually have my Go Abundance. But this time I was like, where's that 10X band, which is right here for anyone who's watching.
Grant Cardone.
It's a Grant Cardone brand called 10X. And as I found it, I was like, whew, here it is. Awesome. Wait a minute. I'm not the type to wear brands. Josh knows that I don't like to wear other people's brands unless I feel very strongly. I like to wear our brands, what we represent, what we build, what we create. But for some reason, this to me was beyond a brand. This was to me a mindset. And then it hit me. Oh my goodness. We've created, very much like Cardone has in 10X, a mindset, which is the PodMax mindset. And as I started to go down the rabbit hole, I realized I need to share this. I need to just go live and share what my thoughts are and how powerful this is and how everything has evolved into not something that's podcast and podcast industry specific, like PodMax in its initial birth. Pod exactly was that. It was from podcasting and maximizing the opportunities within the podcasting universe. As the network and the community has grown within PodMax, I realized it's very much like a mastermind that I'm where we have pods. And the word pod stood out to me. It has more meaning. It has more longevity and it has a deeper connection to our tribe and the people that are in it. Because what's happening is we've noticed there are micro tribes. There are pods of people getting together and networking and sharing and figuring out how they can help one another in their business and in their life. Bertiti is an example of that. She's put together 3, 4, 5 individuals that meet regularly, and it's a pod, right? And then there's another contingency that we love in Jacksonville with Pablo and Isar and Wally and the Biz Bros and Jeff Fenn, where that is a pod, right? So we were going to show up to these areas and help support and love and build a PodMax meetup. But in the meantime, I realized these are pods and they're maximizing their time together. They're maximizing the opportunities. They're maximizing each other's expertise to help them in what they're trying to build, right? So I'm like, wait a minute, there's this pod here, there's this pod here, there's this pod, there's all these pods all over the country and the world potentially. And when they come together at PodMax, it's massive. And that is exactly what we've created, a PodMax mindset, because the commonality between everyone within our network, everyone within these little micropods that come together at one event called PodMax, it's a mindset. And that mindset is abundance. That mindset is love, sharing, safe place to play. The mindset is the door is open, my heart and my chest is open to you. I'm going to get emotional here, but that is exactly what PodMax is. It's a mindset and it's a movement. And that is what I wanted to share with everyone. We've built something that's a freaking movement, Josh. It's powerful.
I love when you said it to me this morning, one of the first things you said was PodMax mindset. That is all I needed to hear to really be affected physically and literally. I got it. I was like, oh my God, I don't even know where you're going to take this conversation, but we have our 13th PodMax event coming up in next month. And every single time we feel great about what we've done, how we've shown up, what we've offered, and who we are through the process. And we get that reflected and mirrored back to us over and over again from the people on both sides of the mic. The entrepreneurs and thought leaders, the guests and the hosts, and really the keynote speakers. God, they always say something about this community. And it's sometimes a lot to really recognize when we're so in deep doing it. And, we're still in the deep end, just swimming and swimming without taking a lot of time to look back and say, what have we built? Although we have to do that on occasion, so we know where we're still navigating. So to hear you say PodMax mindset really hit home as so much to continue to explore and to accept and embrace, to get out there.
Yeah.
It's just powerful.
Yeah, because what I've noticed is people, very much like Cardone, they wear our brand. They want to represent. They buy our swag, and they proudly show us. Like, I'll never forget being in a big conference, and I was backstage, and someone in the audience saw me, turned, gave me a nice little side smile, and lifted up his shirt. Although I'm not wearing, I'm wearing somebody else's brand today, but
it's a partner.
Opened it up, and it was our shirt. And he had a huge smile, and I don't think he wasn't wearing it for me, right? He didn't know oh yeah, Eric's going to be here. He was representing. Why? A brand needs to represent. This is everything that I've always dreamed and hoped for. This is everything that I've built towards. And it's that powerful. If you can create an emotion and motion and action, something that inspires people to do something with themselves, with their lives, with their business, their community, that is the mindset. That is the type of people that attract. Josh and I have meetings all the time, whether it's onboarding new people, clients, team members. And every single time we're like, is it just me? Do I love everybody? Is that possible? I feel like I just love everybody. And Josh is like, it's not just you, it's me, it's other team members, because we're attracting the right people. The right people keep coming. Why? We're putting it out there. The PodMax mindset. We finally figured out what it is. And people have been trying to put their finger on it and saying, everyone I've met at PodMax they want to share. Everyone I meet at PodMax has this abundance mindset. Everyone I should meet at PodMax, it's all these common characteristics. And I'm like, that is a reflection of us and our community. That's why we're so happy to finally be like, yes, it's a mindset.
I got an email recently from a powerful colleague of ours who said, hey, I was just in a meeting with so-and-so, insert another powerful colleague of ours. And he said, first of all, I had no idea that you guys knew each other, are connected, and are working together. He said, it's just so great to continue to see all the high-level people you guys are connected with. Mm-hmm. And how do we do that? We were also in a meeting with Vayner the other week. And what did she say when we started the meeting? She said, it's not like I haven't heard of you guys before I had this introduction. So even prior to her being put in touch with us, she said, I already knew of you guys. I heard of you. I've seen what you were up to, because we were deliberately creating this mindset. And what's that silly quote that goes around? People will often forget what you say, but they will never forget how you make them feel. So here we are.
Good stuff. So let's move along, since we have our little ticker below, reminding us of the next segment, which is, have you ever? Have you ever?
That's the famous Erik Cabral's voice manipulated in that, for those.
Or not so manipulated. Do I sound like that? What is this segment about, Josh?
So in this segment, we take something from our experience, either on the host side of things or as the guest side of things, and we debate it. So this week, it's, have you ever been a guest on a show and found yourself being sold to and in the middle of a funnel or sales process? You turn around and you say, son of a gun, I'm in a conversation here. The mic is off. We already recorded, and now I'm being sold to.
Yeah.
What do you say?
I've had it happen to me where I'm being sold to during the show.
Oh boy.
Very subtly, if we weren't in the game, if we
you
weren't
wouldn't
in,
recognize it.
I wouldn't have recognized it, but I was at a stage where I could recognize it and honestly appreciated it, because I knew going in what it was about because of the onboard form. So his onboarding form was asking certain questions of me that I knew, oh, he's vetting me. He wants to see if I qualify for his product.
Wow.
And then I still proceeded. And I'm in the tail end of the sales cycle. I am this close, or we are this close. I shared it with the team. We want to buy to buying. And I said, I loved your client journey and your structure and your system of getting people into your product. If it works on me, why wouldn't it work for clients? It's magical when it works and it's done right, and it's not and it's not harmful or in any way.
So you don't feel upset that being a guest on that show had an ulterior motive or motivation behind it?
No, when done right. This has happened to me multiple times,
Mm-hmm.
and the hosts did it the right way. One of them was transparent. Said, "Hey, this is how my show is structured, and then I want to have a conversation with you about what I can do for you."
Yeah.
So he was very open about it. So I liked and appreciated that as well. But you had a different experience.
Yeah. For the record, I also don't mind because I'm aware that there's a variety of podcast hosts that deliberately use the show as part of their sales process. That is okay by me. That doesn't take away anything. That doesn't take away of my experience. That doesn't take away of the value I'm offering. It's still a credit of mine to have been on the show. It's still going to be pushed out. I can still learn and gain and grow from it. However, when I was at the beginning of my podcasting career, this was 3+ years ago in the beginning of 2018, I did not know Erik yet. So I was the hidden entrepreneur, as I am now, but I was exclusively that and trying to find my way. I'm like, well, I'm doing the show, I'm doing the podcast. I guess that I'll be some sort of business consultant if people want to learn from me and I can help someone sort of do what I'm doing. All good. So that's where I positioned myself out of the gate. One day I'm minding my own business. I get an email offering me a guest spot on a show for business consultants. And I'm like, well, this is great. I'm being recognized. Little did I know I'm being sold to. So I go on the show and now everything plays out in retrospect because I did fill out a detailed form of what are your pain points? What are you doing to overcome those pain points? Right? Like all of that. We have the show. And as soon as we're done, he starts talking to me about those questions and what I'm doing with my pain points, how I'm growing my business, what I want to grow, what I'm looking to do. And then we got cut off. Like, I guess the universe was looking out for me, right? Like internet went down and we had to reschedule. So in that time, I realized what was happening. I was like, oh my God, I see it. He wanted to pick up the conversation. And I'm like, why does he want to pick up the conversation? We already bantered. We already spoke. We already connected. And I'm like, oh, there's a sale in here. He wants me in his program. And I emailed him back and I said, I am not interested at all. Because I just wasn't, right? I didn't feel good about it. I wasn't impressed. I wasn't excited by it. I wasn't looking to join a program. So yeah, it didn't work for me. But I saw it at the end of it.
Head fuzzy heels.
Yeah. It's all right though.
But it's always interesting to go through this. If you find that you may have stumbled upon something like this, go through it and take notes.
There's truth to that too.
Yeah, because you'll learn.
Funnel hacking.
And yeah, exactly. And you can deconstruct what they're doing and make it work for you if it makes sense.
And that's also not to say that sometimes there's value in what you're being offered, right?
Yeah.
We go in with an open mind. We're like, what are you doing?
100%.
What are you up to? Could we use it?
Yeah.
Could our people use it?
Yeah.
What are you up to? So we hold no gripes about it.
No. I mean, if you have a product that people need, absolutely, especially in your business, as one of the examples I gave, where he's going to be able to build a system and a foundation for us to help foster leads and sales.
Mm-hmm.
But that's needed, and it doesn't make sense for some people who aren't at that stage or already have something in place. So yeah, I mean, then they may be annoyed by it.
Yeah.
But for those, he's looking for me. He's looking for people that qualify or who meet all the criteria that he's looking for.
The side note that comes into play, and a quick thing, this Friday and every Friday at 11 a.m. Eastern, we have ongoing the PodMax Mixer, where is a 1 hour, 11 a.m. Eastern via Zoom, a dialogue. All are welcome. All friends and family, all newcomers who want in, you'll come in, and for an hour or so, we'll have a structured conversation. It's part networking, part mastermind, part virtual meetup, all fun, right? We had one last week, and what came to mind is that part of the dialogue was around pricing and just knowing your worth and your value, which we all struggle with on one form or another. And what you said, Erik, that just brought that up was that if you have something to offer, you have to sell it. I know some see that as a dirty word, but you have to offer it, right? Yeah. Like, what does Cary say? Jab, 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 right hook. That right hook is the ask, is the, hey, what do you need? Perhaps I have what you need. Let's talk. Do you want it? It's this much investment.
Yeah. Let's add the Mixer link, Rob, to the feed and to the comments here for people to get on. Is it just podmax.co/mixer?
Always.
Yeah. So sign up. You can actually sign up for the month. In May, I think we'll have all the dates.
But there's one coming up still April.
So yeah, podmax.co/mixer. Join in on the fun. It's free. We went deep last Friday.
Yeah.
Results driven. So we're following the theme of the month until next month, and it's about results. And we started talking about that and went down the rabbit hole, and we ended on worth, your self-worth and value and how you charge. So I'm bringing a multi-level 5-figure mastermind to this Mixer. So you don't want to miss it.
That's right.
Let's
recap.
Oh, recap. So recap. We talked about Spotify making moves. It's a wonderful chessboard.
And would also probably allow the creator to up their game, right? Because now you're aware that some of your stuff could be subscription worthy. So go towards that.
Exactly. So it's going to allow you to start charging for your podcast. And think of it this way. It's not necessarily turning your current show as a paid only. You can actually create a version of it like a plus, like a PodMax Plus. And then that is now the paid podcast, and you could still have a free. That's what creators and companies are doing. They're creating a separate show that's paid content. And we'll see what how they respond to it. Just love watching the boxing match. It's awesome. Then we talked about PodMax mindset, the PodMax mindset within our Build It and They Will Come segment, where we realized it's a movement, it's a mindset, and the brand is becoming and evolving into something greater than us because it involves you. So we're so proud of what we've done and what we're creating and everyone being in the community. And we just continue to push out what the PodMax mindset is all about.
And then build it and they will come. Or no, I'm sorry. Have you ever?
Yeah. Have you ever been sold to on a podcast interview?
And what do you feel about that? What has it been like?
Yeah.
Great.
And thanks to Jake here, all up in the comments saying, hey, there's good and bad. You can learn from all types of sales, whether it's bad or good experience.
That's absolutely true. Now we're going to bring in the hosts of the On Air Brand Live show, which comes on the heels of this one live on Facebook, 12 p.m. Eastern every Wednesday. And then as part of your favorite podcast player, you can listen to the audio versions of this show and that show in the separate feeds. It's Todd G. It's Amber F. Lady and gentleman. So good to see you.
What's going on, guys?
Hey.
How are you? So you're getting ready to do another show. First of all, how is it feeling? We tune in. We're right on top of it. Chemistry is great.
Thank you.
How does it feel?
It's great. And what's funny is that although we used to have an overlap of our show meetings with you guys, right? Because we were, when it was just me, and then the first one or two with Amber, but now Amber and I have our own separate ones. Well, that was easy when we knew what topics you guys were talking about. I could easily segue into the topic of what we were going to be doing. We don't do that anymore, but it's funny because this is just how in sync we are. You're talking about, have you ever been sold to by a podcast host? And the problem, because we always talk about you talked about it in this episode too. You don't believe in the advertising model, although Josh is very big proponent of Swiffer. But besides for that,
that's our new sponsor, by the way.
Not running ads as the monetization method, but using your podcast to build relationships that then turn into business opportunities. So how is that different when someone brings you on the show and then tries to sell to you immediately? The difference is in how it is presented and framed and the words that they're using and when they are using them.
So good.
And today's topic of the On Air Brand show, which is onairbrands.com/show, this will be episode number 5 of season 3, is that your words matter. What should you be saying and when, so that you are properly influencing and not manipulating your audience? And
speaking of words, I wanted to hear what Amber has to say about
good idea.
Words.
About
Do you have words?
Yeah,
words.
I have
Say
some of
words.
them.
Say
List
words.
some words. It's so crazy because there's so many of them, and then you say it's like telling a chicken to dance, right? I'm like, I don't have any words; they won't come out. No, I'm really excited for this because we're talking so much about. We try to communicate with people, and if you're not communicating with people in their language, you might as well actually be speaking a different language. And we've talked about that before. How people process information is so important. And also just really getting by that there's so many people that think that, if you say something to help somebody understand your product, there's this manipulation behind it, and helping people understand, how to influence somebody, how to stay away from that manipulation line, and really how to make sure that the products and services that are meant for your audience make it to the people that they can most impact.
Jeez. Words. Just more words. Adjective, noun, pronoun, word, verb. Todd?
Yeah, I mean, those are also words there, Josh.
I do love your callback. Speaking of words, I'm going to meta, because that whole Swiffer comment was a callback, and I was just thinking about it. I was like, I said it twice. You know that, you heard it, you retained it, maybe you jotted it down, maybe you didn't. And then you're like, oh, okay, I can use this as a callback for effect, which builds chemistry and a bond. And
frequency and consistency of using words. I'm going to be asking Amber about that. How does that make a difference, right? And so you said it a couple times. Now we're bringing it back. I mean, I don't know how much did they pay? I don't think Swiffer paid for this much sponsorship on today's episode, but
I over-deliver 12 times.
Yeah.
At this point, they're probably like, stop using our name. Like,
there's going to be a new Swiffer campaign. We are not affiliated whatsoever with these Podmax people. But all right, let's clean this up. See what I did there?
Nice.
Oh, I didn't see what you did there. I clearly need to step up my game.
So it's really great to see you guys, especially great to see you having a good time through the content. What's wonderful is Erik and I are here in the studio. You guys are in your location, undisclosed. I know. Don't worry. No fear here.
The fan mail was just getting overwhelming.
So what's great is we have the other area behind the glass here. And what we do, because Rob produces this show, and then of course he's the producer on that show. But what we do is Erik and I sort of unwind, maybe eat, maybe get to some work. But through the speakers, we have your show playing live while it's happening. So it's just an awesome vibe.
WNBC.
Oh, you beat me to it. I was about to say that. Damn it.
That's what it feels like, bro. It's awesome. I remember we had a guest back when that happened. What was his name? Peter Neal came through. And we were doing our thing. And I think that was a very common thing. We'd have plug in whatever was happening in here out there.
The audio feed.
And as he hung out, they don't want to leave when they come to the studio. People just they came here for an hour meeting and then they stay and they sit in the green room. They hang out on the couch. And he was one of them that said, I just love the vibe here. I love the energy. It feels like a radio station. And I was like, wow, that's very cool, man.
WKRP
Cincinnati. Yeah.
Old
It's good stuff. It's good stuff.
Oh,
But
you
here's-
do too much.
Here's what I want to highlight here, folks. The 4 people on the screen is the PodMax community, the On Air Brands community. All of the things that we've put together and attracted gives off an energy, a vibe, and a feeling. And I don't know if you were there for this, Amber. I think, Todd, you were waiting in the back, but we talked about the PodMax mindset.
Mhm.
And I can't sing this enough about now we have this movement and we can now call it what it is, which is the PodMax mindset. We collectively have it. And, enough from me and Josh and you guys talking about this, which, we're hoping that you can now start telling people about the mindset. We're gonna kick it off to the little ditty that Rob created for us, which is case studies to play us out like that.
Oh yeah,
Nice.
this is our end theme.
Yeah, this is from our community and
I
and
haven't
the
seen
people.
this yet. I'm excited.
Yes.
I
This
haven't
is the
either.
way-
I'm really
this-
excited.
But yeah, this
This
is
is the way we're ending the show
Yeah.
and all shows from here on out.
exactly from our community to your ears
World premiere, huh?
and eyeballs. Take it away.
I think everybody kind of knows or has a feeling that podcasting is like a thing, it's just a matter of how it gets incorporated into their business, into their story.
Where else can you get on an event, like in person or online, and have like this collection of people? Any person that this group and this community attracts just like brings it.
There is no community like the PodMax community, guys.
I love PodMax. I love everything about this environment, this family, and every one of these events. It's just tremendous.
This is our 5th time here, and every time it just gets better and better. I mean, the relationships, the format of the event, and the opportunities to put us in front of people like David, for example.
So we're always open to having deeper and more meaningful conversations one-on-one with each and every one of you to say, all right, how do we help each other? We're all in the same game here. It's life, right? Let's just do it as best as we can and have a blast doing it.
I am just like living off the energy from my 2 interviews this morning, getting pumped for my 3rd interview.
There was just a lot of personality that was brought. There was a lot of deep conversations that I wasn't anticipating. It just created magic.